Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, you've seen the video of the man who crashed the Tim Kaine event with the Bill Clinton is a rapist t-shirt. He has an interesting history because Richard Garrett was a Democrat activist before he was disillusioned with what he saw with Bill Clinton. Joining us now is Richard Garrett. Welcome, Richard. I'm very impressed with what you did, and thank you for doing that, because I could see the passion that you had when you got there with Tim Kaine. It was an amazing video, but it stems from what you saw 20 years ago, and that's really what I want to talk to you about today. You were originally a mid-level Democrat. You were very heavily invested in the Democrat Party, and as you spoke to Alex Jones about your motivation for getting involved with this, you had some interesting things that you saw at the 1996 Democrat Convention in Chicago that I want to go into. Thank you so much for what you did, but tell us a little bit about what you saw at the 1996 convention.
Well, I was elected as the 5th Congressional District delegate out of the 5th Congressional District in the state of Colorado. And I also was working as the executive director of the El Paso County Democratic Party. And I was also being paid by the Colorado State Democratic Party through the Democratic National Committee. I started all of this in 1994, working on Dick Freese's Attorney General campaign. He ran for Attorney General in Colorado. And then in 1996, I got out of the Army in 92, and then in 96, when I was going to college at University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, I was chosen to become the executive director of the El Paso County Democratic Party, and then ended up going through the Democratic Leadership Council through the state of Colorado, going around the state and learning about all these different things. Then I was also trained to be an operative in order to confront Republicans at debates and at town halls, and also to go out and to be a field operative and conduct basically war against the Republican Party.
So you're invested in this, and I've got to say that when I just went to the most recent, the 2016 Democrat convention up in Philadelphia, most of the people that I talked to, and there were exceptions, but most of them had bought into this party loyalty so heavily that they had blinders on about everything, about the email scandals, about other issues and so forth. But tell us what you saw that changed you at this 1996 convention.
Right. So basically, I was rooming at the, I believe, the Park Hyatt in downtown Chicago by the water tower. And my roommates, one was the chairman of the El Paso County Democratic Party, and he was also a Democratic National Committee delegate. And the other person was he worked as a Senate congressional, as a senatorial aide for Tim Wirth, who ended up working. He was the senator from Colorado, and he ended up working for the Clinton administration. Basically, when I went to the convention, the first thing I saw was Hillary Clinton standing outside of the United Center, right? Mm-hmm. And she's all, "Hi, it's Hillary. You know, I can't wait to see you guys. I'll be inside soon, and I'm so excited to be here." And then she thought the feed was cut. And she went from "see you soon," and then 3 seconds later, after she thought the feed was cut, she turned to a bipolar rage and goes, "Take this effing mic," and threw it right at the guy's face, cameraman. Threw it right at his face. And then the whole crowd went quiet for 10 minutes in shock over what they saw.
Yeah, she's got a public face and a private face, and we've heard this over and over again.
It disappeared. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone. It disappeared.
Yeah, we've heard this over and over again from the Secret Service agents that protected her, the abuse that she levels at everybody, even those who put their lives at risk to protect her life. She throws that kind of abuse at. It wasn't that she was having a bad day. This is a pattern of behavior we hear over and over again.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago. So, the mainstream media has been covering this up the whole time. I mean, right here is this book, Mainstream Media, The Temporary Role of Delegates and Alternatives to the Democratic National Convention in 1996. All the people you can interview for all this stuff is in this book. It's in the book.
Well, you saw some things with Bill Clinton as well, didn't you?
Oh, I saw the most sickest display of sexual predator and groping and touching and molesting I've ever seen, and it was all in public view at a closed door event in a ballroom on August 30th, the day after his nomination speech.
Wow. And tell us what he did.
Well, I was invited guest of the DNC delegate, because each DNC member was allowed to take one guest into this ballroom. It was a closed door event, but I believe there was media there. They had their cameras all up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're standing there, we're waiting, and then there's this woman in a wheelchair like behind the crowd, and I was standing next to Reverend Jesse Jackson, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he like pushed all these people, and they were pissed, but he pushed all. He goes, "You need to stand back and let this woman in the wheelchair to the front of the receiving line." And so he pushed her in the wheelchair to the front of the receiving line, right? And he put her there, and then he said, Reverend Jackson said something I'll never forget. He said, "Watch his hands." Watch his hands. And he's talking about the president of the United States,
wow.
Bill Clinton, telling this woman in a wheelchair to watch his hands.
Wow.
So then Bill Clinton comes out, right? And he's groping, fondling, touching. I mean, he's like grabbing every woman that was on the executive committee in his book. They're all on the stage with Governor Bill Richardson, Donald Fowler, with Senator Chris Dodd, everybody. They're all in the book. Mainstream media, you could interview him, and he's like groping, fondling, touching, just like grabbing deep down. This guy was a sexual predator gone wild from the time Dick Morris was taken down in the tabloids and had to resign until Matt Drudge brought out Monica Lewinsky. This guy was crazy, and the mainstream media covered it all up.
You know, that's the interesting
he's
thing.
Grabbing everybody. He's like nonstop. He's like, nobody can touch me. Nobody can touch me.
And you have people
like, hey.
You have people like Jesse Jackson, and everybody knows that this is what he's doing. The people in that room see what's going on. And it was even people like Ken Starr. I remember when they did the impeachment process. I mean, they had a long list of things. They had Whitewater, they had cattle futures, they got Travelgate, misuse of the FBI, serial rape. And what does Ken Starr focus on? He focuses on consensual sex with an intern. And that's what he came after. That's what he got, a couple of minor charges, perjury and obstruction of justice, and then they didn't even really prosecute that when they went to the Senate trial. That's how Bill Clinton got off. And we then see that Ken Starr goes on to defend pedophile Jeffrey Epstein, also friend of Bill, who Bill's taken all these Lolita flights with. Got a sweetheart deal for Jeffrey Epstein, Ken Starr did. Then he goes on to become the chancellor and the president of a Christian university, Baylor, and covers up for the football players with a rape scandal there. This is how this works. Both the Democrats and Republicans at the top are in on this, aren't they?
You know what? I got after the 96 cycle. I was in the Army for 7 years, and I'm a service-connected disabled veteran from the United States Army. So I went ahead and completed my mission and completed the cycle. But after that, I was basically like done. I mean, it's so sick what's going on. These Republicans and Democrats, there's no political parties. There's just labels, man. Everybody's just using labels.
We've only got about 50 seconds or so, Richard. How do you feel about Donald Trump? Huh?
I want to make an appeal to some. I want to make an appeal to Reverend Jackson. Reverend Jesse Jackson. These people destroyed your personal life by exposing your love child. They put your son, another great person, Jesse Jackson Jr., in federal prison for campaign funds. They destroyed your family. Mm-hmm. Reverend Jackson, you need to come out and help all these disheartened, broken hearts that are on these streets in the United States, the people that have no hope and no chance. And once this demonic woman gets elected, she's going to destroy all our lives. So, Reverend Jesse Jackson, please come out and help us.
Absolutely.
Please come out and help us.
Hopefully he will. And, we'll have to see. That's a great appeal to him. somebody at the top, many people at the top, need to check their consciences and need to speak out plainly about this corruption, because it is in both parties, as you've seen. Richard Jarrett, thank you so much for what you did. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for speaking out about this corruption that you see. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you, David.
Well, that's it for tonight's news. Join us again tomorrow night at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for the Infowars Nightly News.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.